Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and if you haven't been to the RSI site over the last day, you're not aware that they've actually done a facelift to the website. Some people like it, some people don't. I think navigationally it's probably kind of a step back, but I think as far as the overall look and appearance, I think it's a step forward. But we're not going to sit here and critique that. What we actually want to do is actually showcase the roadmap, which I think is my favorite new piece of this. So under development, there is the, come on, stupid mouse, roadmap section. And the first time you come in, you're going to be presented with this caveat screen, which is basically a set of disclaimers that say all of this is subject to change. Just be aware of that going in, and anything can be updated. Once you hit got it, you're actually presented with these 4 different columns representing the upcoming 4 patches, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4, which are releasing in quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively. And then you get a breakdown on all of these, and you can expand them and get more information. So across the board, and we'll just kind of jump through all these, characters is going to be impacting things that have to do with the avatar, your actual armor, the way they actually kind of look, and overall like passes. So just to hit on some of these, like we got character customizers. I think that's kind of a surprise for 3.1. You can see that there are already 67 out of 100 tasks completed. If you want to get a little bit more information on what they're actually talking about, you can expand it and get a little bit better description. And then you just get to see some of the other things that are actually happening. And I'm just going to kind of skim through these. You can always come back in and do some research on your own. But character customization is cool. 3.1's also going to bring some helmet polish. You see that in 3.2 we get some armor, some of the older stuff getting a revamp, as well as the Alizar collection coming in and the flight suit rework. And then what we see probably most exciting out of all of this is the playable female characters. That's scheduled for the end of the year at 3.4. I think a lot of people are excited to see that coming in. And then the shipjacker armor, we saw some concept work on that before. He's really kind of freaky, so I'm interested to see that. I think that one's pretty exciting. Up next is going to be locations, and this is going to be something that's really expanding all of the places we can go, but it's not necessarily about only where you can go. It's about some of the like passes and updates and things. So you can see that they're trying to improve some of the planetary tech as far as how that actually generates to give a better like environment. That's something that's coming in 3.1. No location changes for 3.2. It's supposed to get Hurston, a landing zone, the moons, as well as actually updating the comm array. And if it looks like this image, that's pretty cool. Yeah, you can see they not only facilitate the ability to transfer data, but also provide ECN coverage to. So basically, the ability to transmit data, I think, is the exciting new piece there. And then a small rest stop, so that's getting us in line with some of the truck stop locations that are supposed to be coming. And then 3.4, all of a sudden we get ArcCorp Area 18, like we saw in the CitizenCon demo. ArcCorp's moons and the cargo depot, which is someplace that you can actually drop off cargo, buy and sell, so you're not always having to go to a station or a location on a planet. Those are going to be things that I think are going to be really helpful for when you have ships like the whole series in there where you can't actually land, or where you just have a big ship and it's not convenient to go somewhere. A cargo depot would make sense to fit that bill. In gameplay, we have a lot of stuff scheduled for 3.2, but you can see overall there's a lot of stuff that they're working on. Right now for 3.1, most of what they're planning on is like system improvements, and that's why you're seeing things like balancing and tuning for IFCS, weapon balance, ship damage, those are coming in. The personal manager app I think is pretty exciting because what we have today is wonky. You can see just based on the image here, it certainly looks like it's a lot sleeker. This right here, it's kind of small, but is like all the different types of statistics that you would want as far as like mobility and defense and power, like those types of things. So you kind of get like that spider web type map. 3.2 has a ton that they're planning on coming, so distress call, which also fits into the service beacon. Service beacon means you can pay other players, pay for ship refueling, repairs, mining, extraction. There is a ton of stuff that's really focused in on the service beacon. But then as far as just gameplay, that's where we start getting in. So the first thing here, mining, is really going to be the type of gameplay. The second thing is going to be more specific. So extraction, how do you actually get the ore out? Refining, how do you process it to make it useful? And then selling it. And then there's a bunch of salvage stuff that's planned. So reclaimer, obviously, they need something to be able to do. Repairs, fuel transfer. And then you get into some other things like the economy. It obviously needs a little bit more detail than we have today. That's currently scheduled for 3.2. And then wear and tear, how things are actually going to age over time and through use. 3.3 currently has a more repair, I guess, expected as far as actually the repair bot being used, and then the more repair ships and how that actually works. And then as far as the actual fuel, you get the ability to actually collect fuel, which is big because it sounds like in our first iteration in 3.2, they're planning on us being able to probably just use the fuel that's on our ship to sell to other players. This is actually going to be how you're going to go out and collect that fuel. And then 3.4 brings the land claim stuff, so actually getting your piece of the how that ties into the UEE and all that kind of stuff. So that's gameplay for you. Let's go ahead and collapse these, and we'll jump into AI. God, there's a lot going in 3.2. Okay, so AI. We've got ship AI to subsumption, so basically the ship's actually tapping into the subsumption system to tap into other systems and interact the way you would expect. The combat AI, so how the how you integrate with the systems, but also how the other characters, the NPCs, are going to be conducting FPS with you. We get some flight AI, defensive combat, location security, and planetary landing. Basically, the ability for NPCs to be able to come in and land on planets. That's not something they're programmed to do today, so that's going to be something that's helpful. And then, yeah, the defensive combat's pretty cool as well. Basically, how they can defend themselves on ships. Not just fighting against ships, but against people that may be trying to get on there. Past that, ships and vehicles. Everybody loves ships, right? So this is basically what's currently on the roadmap for the remainder of 2018. So in 3.1, they're expecting to give us the Reclaimer, the Terrapin, the Razor, and the Cyclone. All pretty exciting because it's kind of a wide range of ships. The only bummer is there's not really a lot in exploration that's been talked about through all of this. So things like the Terrapin are probably going to have fairly low, I guess, usefulness. The Reclaimer is not going to be super useful in 3.1. I mean, you could trade cargo in it if you want to. Outside of just being big and lumbering and kind of awesome, it's not going to have a lot to do until you actually get into 3.2. In 3.2, 600i is slated to come in, so that one obviously got fast-tracked and moved along quick. Hurricane is planned, the Eclipse is planned, the new Mustang Alpha is supposed to be coming out, which is exciting because the concept art looks great. We know the Avenger is getting bigger and basically just getting an overhaul, so that should be coming, as well as the Vanduul Blade. 3.3, we got the Phoenix coming. The Hammerhead is scheduled for 3/4 of the way through the year. Is pretty exciting. I think a lot of people are kind of beefed about that one because it's a big ship and it's relatively new, but I think it's also really exciting because I think they're going to be using that as a test bed for larger ship combat. So maybe like things like the Javelin and the Idris may not be too far behind that. And then we get the other Cyclone variants coming in. And then at the end of the year, 300 rework is planned finally. The Hawk should be available. The other MISC variants, or the Reliant variants, are coming. The Freelancer variants are coming, thank goodness. And the Taurus is going to be making its appearance too. So those are your ships for 2018, at least what they're planning on now. Keep in mind any of these can change at any given moment. And then let's go ahead and jump into weapons and items. Okay, so none are planned for 3.4 right now. You get one ship weapon and one personal weapon in 3.1. They're planning on the Distortion Scatter Gun for ships and the R97 Shotgun, which is basically just a personal shotgun. In 3.2, they're planning on basically adding in the Gemini F-55 LMG. And then in 3.3, they're planning on the Amon and Reese Omniskies, basically additional sizes of those weapons coming in. And then last but not least, core tech. Core tech is obviously very important because it's what runs the back end of everything that we're doing. And it's going to be basically exactly what you would expect it to be for most of these. So network bind culling, huge thing that we need to get in that's supposed to help out with the overall, I guess, stability and gameplay. And then that's kind of where we start getting into that net code. And then performance optimization is really finding a way to help drive the frame rates up regardless of what sort of PC you're using. And some of that's going to be back-end things. For 3.2, they're looking at, again, more performance optimization. So it's basically just continued. It's something they're planning on through the entire year. You can see if I line it up like that, which is a good sign that they know that they have a lot of work to do. 3.3 is bringing object container streaming. Again, that's going to be something that's really important for making sure that you're only seeing things that are actually relevant to you. So like right now when a Caterpillar gets pulled and it's got a boatload of cargo on it, it slows down performance for everybody. Well, that's because it's keeping track of all of those items. Ideally, you shouldn't have to deal with that, so getting rid of that problem is going to be fixed by this, hopefully. Face over IP scheduled for 3.3. That's coming pretty quick. Again, that's where it uses the camera to read your face, and then it actually allows you to talk, and then your character's face moves as you're talking. Cloud tech coming a lot faster than I expected in 3.3. And then there's nothing else outside of the performance optimization in 3.4. So like I said, I kind of skimmed through that. I would highly suggest you guys come out here and take a look at this because there's a lot of great information. And you can get a little bit more detail by expanding on the ones that you actually care about. This is something I'm planning on kind of coming back and revisiting fairly often because I like seeing the status, and part of me is just curious how often this is going to update. But again, it's a really good source of information, and I think this is a good step towards the transparency that we want, because there's a lot of these types of dev trackers out there that are working on like all of these status updates that people are kind of updating just as we get information. Basically, this is tapping into their Jira and providing us with updates, which is great because we're getting kind of a look into the project management of this project. So that's it for the roadmap. If you guys have questions, let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned for more. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and take care.